So here's another great example of when it's just easier to redraw something than to spend hours and hours trying to find a matching font. So what I did first was try to find a matching font. I went to Font Squirrel. They're a good source for finding things when it works. So I fed in the image into the font identifier. It came up with this, and then it came up with possible fonts that are close. But as you can see, when you look at the example down here and what they've come up with, none of these fonts are an exact match. What that tells me is either the font that they're looking for, they just don't have loaded already onto their font finder, because they're not going to have all 50,000 fonts that are out there available for them to search through. And it could also possibly tell me that this font that was used was something that the artist took from a font, but then did some editing to it to make it custom. So rather than spend half my day trying to find something like that, I go in and I start to draw. So I'm zoomed in pretty close, and as you can see, again, everything on the screen that's black, that's the image that I have underneath. And I haven't locked the image yet, but I'm going to do that just so it doesn't move while I'm tracing it. Grab my pen, and I have my pen set to the width that I want, and I also have it set for curved arches. And as you can see, that gives me the nice rounded corner that this font has. Now I'm actually not going to do the N, because if you look carefully, the N and the U are basically the same thing, just flipped around. So there's no point in me redrawing something that's already there on the page. Just makes my life a whole lot easier to be observant and see what I have to do and what I don't need to do. So I'm using a 4-point stroke. As we all know, stroke sizes change sometimes, so I don't need to do the N. Let's do the G. The G is going to be a little bit of a challenge because it's got some arches. And I like to take my time, especially when something is such a fine and thin font like this, because any mistakes that you make, any weird bumps are going to show up really easily because the font is so thin. It's not like you can hide behind a thick line. Let's do this arch here, and then let's end it right here. There we are. That's better. So then basically I'm going to go through and I'm going to use my line at this point to do all of these because they're so thin. And once I have that line done, I'm going to go and I'm going to expand that stroke so that it turns into an object. Basically that just means that now when I look at it in my menu, it's no longer a stroke, it's a filled in object. You want to have that, and most graphic designers that know what they're doing understand that that's important. Basically that's all I can tell you right now. I'm going to go through and finish this off for the client and send it to them when it's all done.